Welcome to the Culturally Distinct Podcast. I thank you guys for tuning back into the show. Last week was an awesome one. We talked about heritage, talked about Cajun versus Creole, talked about class versus race. It was an awesome show. I thank Alex for coming on last week. It was an awesome show. I appreciate it, brother. For those who never tuned into the show, I thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you heard some good things about the show. If you heard some ratchet things, that might be possibly so also, but we have good intent at the same time. Today we have a special show for you guys today. This is more one of those shows on the serious side. How we like to have conversations, thought-provoking conversations. And this is something that's, I think that's kind of messing up our communities. But it's something that's unheard of and something that's unspoken. Today we have a couple for the first time to the Culturally Distinct. I got to get a hand clap for that. We got a couple for the first time, right, to the Culturally Distinct podcast. And we're going to have a serious conversation, and hope you guys enjoy. Hope you guys comment on what you guys think that this topic that we're going to talk about. First of all, let me welcome my guests back to the show. We have Saminthia. Hey. Saminthia Washington. Hey, what's up? And we have our lovely husband, CJ. CJ, what's up, CJ?
What's happening,
brother? Hey. They say a family that prays together stays together. How you? We're supposed to be a serious show, y'all.
Okay, we serious.
All right, so how you guys doing?
Doing great.
Really good. Good? Yes. So look, before we get started, I want to ask you guys, I know Valentine's Day is coming up, right? Mm-hmm. Valentine's Day, and since you guys, since CJ got the red on, and you guys are a couple, so what you guys got planned for Valentine?
What's so funny is we just talked about this on the way over here.
Okay.
So we got reservations for dinner.
Okay.
Dinner for two.
Okay.
No kids allowed.
Oh, there it is. All right.
So dinner for two and just spend some time with each other.
Time for number 3, right?
No.
Shout out to the 3 times.
Cancel that applause.
But that's lovely though. I like to see black couples doing, beautiful things together and still in love, after so long. And you guys have been married, 20 plus years, right?
Not plus.
18 years married.
18 years.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Been together over 20.
So I'm saying y'all could start doing counseling. I'm just saying, 18 years, ooh, that's a long time.
We'll be 19 this year. 19 years, wow.
19 years, that's a long time. You ever thought about that?
We've actually been approached by that. Like, I feel like more so years back. Like, once we hit 10, I had people kind of like planting that little seed. Mm-hmm. But we've never really
thought about it.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, you never know. You never know how God might steer that, that counseling direction. You never know. But anyway, I'm glad you guys came to the show because it's a serious topic we're going to talk about today. And we had some tragic news in our community, and I say my community because they're black. We had 2 incidents last week that happened dealing with suicide. Regina King's son, Ian Alexander Jr., he recently committed suicide. Whatever reasons, we don't know yet. That's why we're going to talk about it. And also Miss USA, former Miss USA.
I think from 2019.
How you say it?
I think it's Chesley
Christ.
Yeah.
Chesley Christ. She also committed suicide. Jumped off a 60-story building. 60-story building, right?
6th floor, I think is what they said.
Oh, sixth floor.
Yeah, her balcony.
Yeah. So, I brought these guys on to talk about this topic. First of all, what you guys think about suicide, just the term suicide. Like when somebody says suicide to you guys, what do you guys think about?
Well, you know what? Honestly, Adam, like I'll share something personal. I was introduced to the word and just that, you know, that act at a very young age. And it was because one of my sister's best friends, I have two older sisters, and one of their best friends committed suicide when they were still in high school.
Okay.
And so I had to be around, I think maybe 8 to 10 years old. But I just remember, of course I knew her, you know, I knew their friend, but I remember just the devastation that it caused.
Right.
I remember my sisters had to go to therapy. I mean, it was a lot. And even at that young age, you know, it stayed with me. I knew it was something bad. I knew it was, you know, something horrible. But I asked, you know, because I like to ask questions, you know, imagine me as a child. So I did have a lot of questions, you know. So I knew exactly how she took her life, you know, where it happened. Like, they ended up telling me all of those details. But I just didn't understand why. Like,
how old were you?
That's what I said. I was between like 8 and 10.
Oh, you was young.
Yeah, I was young.
Oh, wow, you was
because they
real
were
young.
still in high school.
Okay.
But you know, just certain things like that stays with you. So for me, it was just always like going back and remembering things that my sister said and just how it affected them. I just always thought that was the very last resort. Like, that's just not something that you consider. Like, you know, and of course there's the spiritual side that some religious, you know, that we're taught.
Right.
You know, that's always been, I guess, my early foundation of suicide.
So I think, you know, my biggest thing, I think that my question is, what do kids, all adults, how do a person get to that point where, because I know now they have a lot of avenues to talk about it, but we have so much access to the internet. It's like we don't utilize it for the right thing, right? We utilize it for, you know, getting likes or comments or selling something, but we have access to that. And I'm pretty sure you have suicide prevention on Instagram, on social media, stuff like that, but we don't utilize it. So I guess my question would be, what do you think will make a person not use those avenues? If they use it for something else, they wouldn't use it for this particular thing.
You saying like avenues of what, like social media?
Yeah. Or just reaching out to somebody, because everything's at your hands, right?
I mean, I was about to say, I know CJ not on social media, but I'm sure he can.
I'm not on social media, but I just think it's more of. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you good.
I'm not used to this, man.
Oh man, you good.
So I think it's more of what's going through your mind.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And I think, you know, as kids, the way we grew up, I think what's going on in your home and how your parents deal with you.
Okay.
Right? You know, are you a happy-go-lucky child? Are you having issues at home? Or your parents having issues that's now affecting the kids, right? Or traumatic experiences that kids don't know how to verbalize. They don't know how to express themselves, right? And so, you know, as a parent, thinking about it now on the other side of it, I think as a parent, you have to be very observant of your kids, right? Mm-hmm. Not just what they're doing on social media, but just their body language.
Okay.
Right? How they move. You know, are they coming in the house and are they excited? Are they telling you about their day?
Right.
Or are they dropping everything, going straight up to their room?
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, what are they dealing with? Like, and kids won't automatically just open up sometimes. You have to confront them, and then it's about how you do it.
So let me ask you this, because that's you know, that's funny you say that, because I know a lot of parents, they think they know the kids, or they think they know about their kids, but in hindsight they really don't, because situations like this happens. What do you think some signs that kids have, or what they do to show like signs of discouragement, depression, anxiety? What are some signs?
I think what it is more than anything, in my opinion, is you have to notice the change.
Okay.
Because I think all kids are different.
Right.
All people are different.
Yes.
Right. Some people are more outspoken than others. Some people communicate their feelings more than others. Some people, they don't talk a lot. That's just who they are on a normal day, right? They never have. They're more introverted, right? Some people are more outgoing. So if you see a person that's very outgoing, if you have a child, or even not just a child, a friend, a relative, anybody that you know, and they're very outgoing, they're very talkative, right? And then all of a sudden they're not.
Right.
Now, being that relative, being that friend, you need to, it's about, okay, do we need to talk? Is there anything I can help you with? And I think it's also about how you approach it.
Right.
Right. And so I think it's more about not necessarily how they act, but if they change the way that they act.
Okay.
What caused the change? Right.
Right.
Because I think and especially as Black people, we keep things in.
Yeah, we internalize a lot.
We internalize a lot of things, right? I know, and that's also from men to women. I think men internalize things more than women. It's just my opinion. Right. And so, you have to, if you have a, as we continue on the conversation with kids, if you have a boy versus a girl, right, you need to know how they communicate, right?
Right.
And so when that starts to change, now you need to figure out, okay, what's causing this change? Do you start looking into their friends? You start observing what's going on at school. Ask yourself, look in the mirror, see what's going on at home, right? And just try to, see if you can put a finger on it. And then that way, maybe that'll start the conversation.
Right.
And then you can get them to open up.
Which could still go back to what you're saying, those signs. And I think some people will give signs and show signs, and some won't.
Right.
And that's come up too. Like, what do you do, or how can you help someone that doesn't show signs? Or like, if you don't know, how are you supposed to help? Like, that's always a difficult question when it's someone that you care about. Like, what did I miss? Did I miss some signs? Some people, even like they taught us in nursing school, most cases, most time, if a person is considering suicide, they're going to give some type of warning sign.
Okay.
Most cases they will. And as nurses, like, they taught us to never take it lightly.
Right.
Don't, even if they don't act out on it, we have to act as if they will.
Right.
And so even in a situation where I'm talking about my sister's friend, she did a warning sign a couple times. And I think sometimes as parents or whomever, family members, sometimes we do overlook things.
Right.
And I know for CJ and I, like, we, just had a conversation last night with our kids specifically about suicide.
Okay.
And I told them, I feel like certain conversations when we were growing up, our parents were able to kind of put them on the back burner for a little longer. But this generation, I feel like we're having to have more difficult conversations with them at earlier ages.
I think that's because of social media.
Yeah, well, just the world we live in. It's so much going on. But yeah, social media can have a play on it as well. But it was trying to let them know, like, I try to talk to my kids. I don't want to say blunt, but blunt, like, to where I'm not sugarcoating it too much because I need them to understand. And so the initial approach was soft.
Okay.
I'm not really a soft person, so I'm working on that.
Okay.
But it was
You're
soft.
not soft? What?
It was soft.
Work in progress.
Work in progress.
Oh, jeez.
I was trying to basically just let them know. Well, I asked them, what do you, when you hear the word suicide, what does that mean to you? What does that look like? What do you think? Whatever. And then it was, trying to let them know, if you ever feel like you're alone or you don't have somebody to go to, know that you do. If you start having certain type of thoughts, even if it's not mommy and daddy, you have aunts, you have uncles, you have, so just trying to get them to understand. Because I feel like a lot of times people who have that or go, through with the act, they feel alone.
Right.
They feel like nobody understands them. They feel like the world would be a better place without them, right? And they have these horrible negative thoughts. And so I was just trying to give them examples of that and let them know that they're loved and, just whatever.
So let me ask you this, because now it's for us. When I say us, Black people, right? It's hard for us to communicate. One, being a man, communicate with a woman. That's one. Two, communicate with our kids just on something simple with homework.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
How does parents go to their children and ask them about a serious issue like that? Because that's like serious. That's like sex almost.
It takes, I can say for me, I can't speak for CJ, but I know the household I grew up in.
Okay.
So sometimes you have to understand that the way you were brought up doesn't necessarily mean it was the right way, right?
Right.
And so you have to grow, you have to evolve as an individual. So as a woman, as a wife, and as a mom, I had to grow. Like you said, we've been together, married 19 years. I'm not the same wife I was in year 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So I had to intentionally grow.
Right.
And I've also had to grow as a parent.
Yeah.
So I had to get out of that because I said so, or not. Like, I grew up where children, you don't talk. You're spoken to. You don't necessarily speak back. Now, granted, I was a talker, but a lot of times we were taught to be quiet,
right.
and it's a grown folks conversation,
right.
That type of thing. And sometimes that's not necessarily healthy because now we're teaching kids that it's not okay to communicate and
right.
communicate how they feel and what they're thinking. So I've been trying to be very intentional about how I communicate and parent my kids. I've had to learn to apologize. I actually put that in my Instagram story today or yesterday where it was a post that said, parents, we have to be okay with saying, I'm sorry to our children.
That's hard.
No, seriously,
that's
though,
tough.
it is.
Yeah.
It's a learned behavior, but we have to be able to say, I'm sorry to our children when we're wrong so they don't grow up thinking that they were wrong in a lot of different situations. But I had a friend, a colleague, comment on that and said she's also an educator, but she put it also teaches them how to apologize. It teaches them how to recognize being accountable, and it's so much bigger than us and our ego in that place of saying I'm the mama. I wish I would apologize to my child. No, it's bigger than that.
Thinking about that, I don't think my parents ever told me I'm sorry.
Mine either.
ever.
Mom, you think my mom and dad apologize?
That was our generation.
Wow.
That's our generation.
No, not at all.
But she's absolutely right, and we've had those conversations,
mm-hmm.
right? And so, but she's right because kids pay more attention to what we do than what we say.
Right. That's true.
And so just going on that how we were raised, like one of the biggest things that I took that my dad instilled in me that I think I try to bring into not only my daily life, but my relationship with my wife, but also with my kids, but also just with people I deal with, is he used to always tell me, you got to be able to have those difficult conversations
mm-hmm.
because they're not going to go anywhere if you don't deal with it.
Right.
Either you're going to deal with it and get it out the way,
right,
or it's just going to linger and linger and linger and linger. So when you have those things that need to be talked about, you just got to get right to it. And sometimes that's the hardest part, is taking the first step.
Absolutely.
Right? And just saying, we're going to talk about this.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part when Cement said, we about to talk about suicide, and everybody's eyes just,
it's like, huh? What?
Right? But then now you get into the conversation, and now you're in it.
Right.
Right? And now it becomes, I'm not going to say it becomes easy, but now you're able to navigate it.
Right.
Because you started it.
So let me ask you this, CJ, and as a man, as a black man, because I have an opinion on this, but I want your opinion on this. For as internalizing things,
mm-hmm.
as a black man, we have ego,
mm-hmm.
With our friends, just by competing, right?
Mm-hmm.
In nature, we just competitive people, so our ego normally takes over, right? So how does a black man, communicate that with either his wife or his kids? Like, how do you humble yourself to say, okay, well, they need to have this conversation, but how do I make yourself aware of, okay, this needs to take place?
I think first is the awareness that you have an ego.
Okay.
I think that's number one. Once you understand when the ego is showing itself, you have to be able to suppress that and say, okay, no, that's my ego. Let me put that aside, right? And deal with what needs to be dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, and that makes you, and that's what also comes in that is vulnerability. Are you vulnerable?
Ooh, that's a heavy word. Don't say that.
Are you vulnerable to hear something or be told something that
might hurt your feelings? That's right.
And then once again, are you going to be able to put the ego aside and deal with it, or are you going to become defensive, and now it becomes a different problem?
Right.
All right. So I think it's just about awareness. And I think that just comes with growth. I think one thing Saminthia and I have done fairly well is we've been able to communicate with each other things that we notice in each other.
Okay.
And say, look, I've noticed this. And whether it's negative or positive.
So y'all communicate effectively.
Yeah, I was going to say CJ is, I know most men don't like to communicate, but he's a great communicator. And I think we made that almost like I don't want to say a promise, but we made a point to do that throughout our relationship and marriage. And like when people ask me, Saminthia, how y'all make it last that long? Like that's one of the first things I say is
effective communication.
Yeah. Like that's one thing I will say we're good at, and that's communicating with each other. And like you said, it's not easy all the time, but it needs to be done. If it needs to be done, let's talk about it. So
let me ask you this, man. As a woman, as a black woman, I know you guys you juggle 100 things. Then you have the kids majority of the time. Most women do. How do you guys deal with stuff like that? Or friends that's going
like stress or
like stress, depression, anxiety, or people that, like you said, like earlier we were talking about how people have like different ways of handling things, and you know something ain't right there.
Yeah,
a best friend that you've been hanging around majority of your life, and now they're standoffish. You know what I mean? How does a woman deal with that when she got 100 other things she got going on?
You know what? I feel like you have to find what works for you, right?
Okay.
Some people know how to handle it. Some people can't. That's why you have some people who have different mind states, different mental statuses, different stress levels. Mm-hmm. Some people deal with anxiety, which is a part of fear and stress, right? Some people deal with depression. So it's really about, I can only speak for me. I can't speak for how women deal with it, but I can share what has helped me.
Okay.
My thing is, I was introduced to, I guess, just a growth mindset, right? So just that maturity of understanding gratitude.
Okay.
But with that, it came so many other parts. So breathing.
Yes.
I think I put that in my post the other day. It was like a lot of times we don't understand how big or how important just taking a deep breath is.
Right.
Literally stopping when you feel those type of emotions, just stopping and taking a deep breath and really just releasing that anxiety. Yes, do I have moments of where I'm exhausted and I feel overwhelmed and I'm absolutely. But thank God, and this brings me to a text. My best friend sent me a text after hearing of Chesley, and I said, oh my goodness, we was just on the same wavelength. I'm like, because I just posted about it, and she sent me a text and she said, you know, and I'm paraphrasing, but she was like, I'm checking on my strong friend.
Okay.
How are you?
Okay.
In recent days of all these suicides, because sometimes we forget to check on the strong friend. And I know I'm looked at sometimes as the strong friend because I'm not emotional and all that kind of stuff. But you do have to check on your strong friends because, yes, I do get tired. I do get overwhelmed. I do have those moments where I have to remind myself to either take a deep breath, and yoga has been great for me.
Okay, you do yoga.
So
okay.
I started doing yoga, and that really helps my mental state.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Some people have to find what works for them. I know, men, y'all are different. It might be cigars. It might be golf. It might be, I try to stay healthy stuff because I do like my wine too. But, that calms me down. But self-care, like sometimes as women and as moms, we feel guilty. For a while, I feel like we felt guilty to just stop and do something for ourselves. If it's just soaking in the bathtub with some wine and telling everybody, leave me alone for an hour, or going to the nail salon, like sometimes you need that just for mental state. It may seem like, girl, you just got your nails done. Girl, but guess what? This is helping me decompress. Yeah, that's your space. My alone time.
But you know what? I say this, and this is I tell my wife, she's not here, but she could tell you. I'm not afraid to cry. You dig? Because I'm not saying cry like a little baby, but I'm just saying like cry. Like if I feel like I'm overwhelmed and I just can't handle no more, I'm like, yo. And she's tired of hearing it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna shed a tear because shedding a tear. They say it's really healthy because you're releasing toxins out of your body. You know what I mean? Also.
That's good to hear. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of chuckled initially.
Yeah, you gotta cry. I'm not saying CJ, you cry.
I'm just saying that's real.
No, but look, I feel you on that because I'm with you.
I got you.
You know, I've shed a few tears in my life.
But you gotta cry in front of her though.
No, I've cried in front of her
okay,
before.
good.
That don't bother me.
Oh, okay.
Right? You know, I cry from something that hurts me emotionally more than I cry from something that hurts me physically.
Correct.
All right, I can handle physical pain, emotional pain, but I think that's okay. I think that's a stigma that we have as black men.
That we don't cry.
Right? That because you know, if you cry, you weep.
Right.
You know? No. And like I always tell her, I say, Jesus wept.
Right.
That's his go-to when I'm picking.
You know,
but, Jesus wept.
You know, but
shout out to Jesus for crying. Hey.
But I'm glad he brought this up because sometimes as coming from a strong black woman, sometimes we have to understand we shouldn't belittle our men who can show that, who can express.
Show that type of emotion.
Because I'm not gonna lie, I was brought up to where if a man cried, that was weak to me. Like that was like what you crying for? Because I don't cry in front of people. I don't like to cry in front of people. So I have this. I do, and that's something I'm working on. I'm trying to get better.
That's good. That's good. You're working on
it. I'm trying to get out of this tough shell, but I'm just being honest and being vulnerable, right? CJ knows. So, but I think sometimes if you're brought up a certain way, as women, if there's a man that feels that way, we can't make you feel bad and say, okay, you weak because you cry.
Right.
Like you're saying, it's actually healthy. It's actually allowing you to not have that stuff bottled in and then you pop. You know what I'm saying? Like you should be able to cry and express yourself. Now, once again, I ain't talking about no man that's just crying
boo-hooing
all the time.
Right.
Like, what you crying? Listen now. You be crying just to be crying.
So what's funny you said that earlier, you said something about breathing. I heard something on the Breakfast Club. Jay Shetty. Jay Shetty is he's a not mentor. He's a meditator. He's a meditating coach.
Okay.
And the first thing he said was breathe. He said everything, like the very first thing that you did when you was a child, you took a breath.
Right.
So every aspect in life you breathe before doing anything, before making a decision, before talking to somebody, before doing anything, you breathe. And I learned that. So that was a good point. So let me ask you guys this. Therapy, right? We don't go to therapy, right? Our therapist is the preacher, the barbershop, the homegirl at the hairdresser.
I think our generation, we're utilizing therapy more.
Okay.
Like it used to be, it used to be frowned upon.
No, I'm saying organized therapy. I'm talking about you set up time. Okay.
Yeah, like paying somebody actual. Yeah, no, I know. I have several friends that go to therapy and they swear by it. It has literally brought them out of some dark places.
Yes.
And that's what I'm saying, because it's been frowned upon for so long that it was a stigma. It was like, no, we don't do that. We pray. You know, like that's out. God, Jesus is out there. But so, but I think our generation, I give our generation a lot of credit. I do. I think we are some educated, young folk who are asking questions, who are seeking, not necessarily just going with what we're used to.
Right.
We're more open-minded.
Absolutely.
And so I think I'm back to our generation. I feel we are more open to therapy than our parents and then what.
Well, I think we got, and I think I agree with you, but I think we have to give some credit to the generation before, because I think what they did was they stressed education on us so much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And so we were a little more educated college graduates than our former generation. You're correct. Right? And so I think because of that experience, not that they taught us about therapy, but at Southern or school, but I just think that from that experience and then being around more educated people, we've had deeper conversations. Right. And we've grown into that. Yeah. So I agree that it's our responsibility to make our kids even better. Right. They should be even ahead of us. Right. When they get to this point. Right. That's our responsibility.
That's the goal. Yeah.
Right.
That's the goal.
So we have to take these stereotypes and these stigmas, and we can't allow them to continue. Right. We have to let our kids know it's okay to talk and communicate, to go to therapy, to cry, to express your emotions. Right. That's what we have to do. And I think, and I keep going to social media because I'm not a social media person. Okay. And I'm not saying social media is bad, completely bad. But I think what happens is, I think this generation, they do all their communicating with their thumbs.
Yes.
right? And
Right.
they don't know how to actually talk and communicate and have conversation anymore, right? And I think that's what's lacking. And so because they're doing everything on the phone and on the computer, right, you're allowed to bully without being face to face.
Right.
You know, that's something that I say, you know, we have these, you know, hidden bullies.
Yeah.
Right?
Avatars that's like don't exist.
Right. You know, they're not man enough to bully you to your face, but they'll get here on the phone, on the computer.
Right.
And next thing you know, the person that's being bullied, now they having all these deep thoughts. Right. Where, you know, in our day, you had to actually deal with somebody.
Absolutely. Face to face.
Face to face.
Right.
Right. And so I just think those things have created some of these problems, and we have to. I think once we recognize them,
Yeah.
right, and we're aware of them, then we can work on trying to fix them.
But in saying that, what does a person do? Because I think now what you're saying, I agree 100%, and I think it's a gift and a curse with everything in life. Right. I think social media is a good thing if it's utilized with good intent. But like you said, they do have bullies. They do have cyber bullies, people that just have cruel intention, and that's bad for younger kids now because that's all they know.
Right.
At least we know how to go to school, catch the bus, take out a pencil and paper and do it the old school way. Look at a chalkboard.
Right.
We know how to do that. And we have the information like the generation before us, they didn't know what we knew. Right. We have the best of both generations right now. But our kids, they have nothing but social media.
Right.
So that's it. So now with technology, how can you, because the thing is you can't monitor it. You try to, but you can't because it's just like a open hole. You know what I'm saying? So how does a parent or guardian, how do they monitor it? Like what do you, because the thing is like when we talk about suicide, I think most of these suicidal thoughts come from not enough likes. See what I'm saying? I post something, I don't get enough likes. Or I don't have the right filter. Or somebody didn't comment because I'm beautiful. They commented yesterday, but they didn't comment today. As an adult, we can handle it. Like, okay, whatever. But as a kid, that's all they know. And that's what they rely on. Even though their parents might tell them they're beautiful every day, they don't care about that. Their peers not telling them. And they get depressed, and now, like you said, they're in the funk, or they, have a different attitude or a different behavior towards whatever. We don't know because they didn't get a like on.
I mean, and some of it is cyber, but some of it is still happening at school, face to face.
Okay.
We do still have some situations, and I'm not gonna speak too deep on my classmate's situation, but that wasn't necessarily cyber, but that was at school every day, face to face, and teachers and people not really paying attention or kind of turning a blind eye to things that was happening. So I think it's a lot of different cases and situations,
right.
And even like you're talking about this Chesley lady. I'm gonna be honest. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, somebody pushed that lady. Somebody pushed that lady. Like, oh my God. Like it never crossed my mind that she would have jumped to her death, because I'm thinking that's one of those things where you're on the outside looking in. Outside, looking at her social media page.
Beautiful.
She's beautiful. She's
known.
successful.
Yeah.
She's accomplished so much in life. An attorney, Miss USA. She has so much going for her.
Right.
This correspondent. Why would she want to do that? Like, somebody had to have pushed her. She wouldn't, but you just don't know what
You're
people
right.
are dealing with. And that's the thing. Like, that's why I'm going back to being able to check in on people. I'm trying to get to a point where when somebody crosses my mind, I need to stop and just call them or text them.
That's good.
Call them and text. If they're on your mind, God has put them on your mind for a reason. So just check in.
That's
on
right.
them. Sometimes sometimes it's just a stranger. Like the other day, a man pulled up beside me and he was looking, and I felt he was looking too hard. But then something in my mind said, Samantha, you could have just smiled. Just smile and say hi. But for a minute, like, I was looking like, why is he looking at me that hard? But
he's a weirdo.
And maybe he was, but maybe he wasn't. I'm just saying, like, I'm trying to get to the point to where even strangers, when somebody's rude and ugly or whatever, or just having a bad day, don't take it personal.
Right.
They're not trying to personally hurt me
right.
in that moment. They might be dealing with something. So my energy can maybe shift their energy.
That is true. Let
me just smile and say, hey, how you doing? I hope you're having a blessed day today. you just don't know
that's
what
right.
people
that's
are
true.
going through. So that's been my focus over the recent, weeks, just hearing of this news with these two beautiful, children.
Right.
They still had so much life ahead of them.
Absolutely.
30 years old and 26 years old. And then, like we're talking about, even the kids. So I think that's something all of us, especially those who feel like I told my best friend, I said, thank you so much. I appreciate you checking in on me. I said, yes, do I get tired? Do I get overwhelmed? Absolutely. I said, but I'm very grateful that I have the tools. I have the tools to have a strong mindset, the tools to know when to breathe, the tools to know when to be in a space of gratitude and to have a strong mind.
Right.
I thank God every day for a healthy, strong mind.
Yes.
So those of us who have at least that, we need to be able to put that positive energy into others and show some kindness.
And let me say this, not to interrupt you, but I think sometimes we don't realize just how long, how beneficial a simple text can be.
Okay.
Just saying good morning, right?
Right.
I know when I lost my father, my uncle, my father's brother, he just started texting me, and this was now. My dad passed going on almost 8 years.
Yeah, I was about to say 8.
And for like 8 years, almost 7, 8 years,
Text you.
he just every morning, just good morning.
Every morning.
Good morning. And prior to that, we would talk 2-3 times a year. Right?
Okay.
But it's just somebody's thinking about you.
Right.
Right? And that goes a long
Oh, absolutely.
right? And so to Saminth's point, when somebody crosses your mind, I know we're so busy, we going, and somebody will cross our mind and we just keep going. Sometimes you just shoot them, hey man, thought about you, how you doing, hope all is well, love you, right? And just keep it moving, right? But I think when we get in the habit of doing that, or if you don't have time to pick up the phone is even better, right? But just sending a small note, man, can go a long way to let someone know that they're loved,
right?
That, that they're appreciated, that God has them here for a reason,
right?
You know what I mean?
Right.
Stuff like that. And so, and even if you got social media, use it for that purpose,
right?
Right?
That makes sense.
Send out that positive vibe.
Yeah.
And I think that would be beneficial to more people than we know.
And that make the world a better place.
Absolutely.
So in closing, what do you guys say? Just this is all opinion. If you think somebody or you see somebody going through something, what the first steps? What you think they should do? How do you recommend help, or do you help them yourselves, or do you recommend somebody for them? What would you guys recommend?
I think if I noticed that, I think the first thing I would do is just offer myself to them. Okay. And just be just be there to listen, right? If they want to cry, allow them to cry. If they want to open up and talk about it, but I think also that you have to build that trust that you're a person that they can talk to, and you're not gonna get off the phone and start this gossip string.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think just being present, and letting people know that, man, you have a friend, you have a brother, you have a sister, right, and if you need me, I'm here. And just not be too busy sometimes to answer the phone or return the text. Yeah. Or sit and listen.
That's good.
I think that's the biggest thing, is being that supportive listening ear, and finding out what they need in that moment, in that time. I've had people call me and say, hey, I just needed to tell you this because I'm having these type of thoughts. I needed somebody to know. And so, of course, it hits you because you do feel responsible in that moment. But the responsibility is to meet them where they are, to let them know that they're not alone. Tell me, what do you need from me in this moment? Like, we're going to stay on the phone, I'm on my way over there. Do you want to just talk? Do you need to just vent?
Right.
So being able to just be whatever they need in that moment, and then, of course, and maybe at the end of the show, posting the national hotline for suicide. But being able to give those resources if they need them. But the biggest thing is, like he's saying, if they can trust you, just being there to support them and talk to them. And I know we're about to close, but I thought about this because once again, this goes to
And I'm closing.
Right. We're going to close after this. We're going But
benediction.
After this. So, because we were talking about parenting and kids as well. And talking about being vulnerable and putting egos to the side. So, with my daughter, who's bigger than me.
Okay. Size-wise.
Yeah, size-wise.
Okay.
So, they know that I'm just not I need to stop saying I'm not. I'm working on being more affectionate and softer.
Okay.
My child is very, very affectionate.
Loving. Yeah.
Very, very affectionate. And because I'm not, there were times where she felt like I might have loved her less, or I didn't love her because I didn't show my love and affection like she wanted and needed. And there was an opportunity where CJ and our son was out of town. It was just she and I. And for whatever reason, Adam, I felt the need to have a conversation with her.
That's good.
It was just me and her. And so it was weird. I was, uncomfortable. I didn't like you saying, how do you start certain conversations? Right. I felt like I was walking around the house like, okay, how am I going to say this? Like, I kept saying, just start the head. Right. You're the parent. So I finally was able to start the conversation, but I was trying to express to her that, mommy might have been brought up this particular way.
Okay.
If I didn't see this, if I didn't experience this in my household as a child, that might have made me the person that I am today. I'm not saying that's right. I'm not making an excuse, but I want you to know I love you. You're my child. When you want to hug me and I'm like, girl, go ahead. That's not to hurt your feelings. Right. I'm like, baby, daddy, like, sometimes CJ like, girl, why you not, he'll make me be more affectionate than I am sometimes because I'm just not naturally overly, that's just
lovey-dovey like that.
So I have my moments.
She try to be hard.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Not that I try to be hard.
Listen to that Boosie. That's what she doing.
No, I'm telling y'all. It's just, I don't know. I might need to go to therapy.
That's good.
I do.
That's good.
I'm serious. There's something there because I haven't been able to recognize why, but I'm being honest. I'm just not that emotional or whatever. But when I tell you,
not yet.
Looking at my child, she needed it. She needed me to tell her it wasn't her. She needed me to tell her that I loved her. And she needed to hear her mom say, yes, I love you. I love you. I'm just not naturally an affectionate person. There's nothing you're doing. It doesn't mean I love you less. Mm-hmm. But I think sometimes parents, we don't want to have those conversations. But sometimes our children need them more than we don't want to have.
Absolutely. That's real. That's real, though.
Yeah.
That's real. It was
vulnerable. A beautiful moment. Yeah. It was. She cried. I didn't cry. But,
Come on now. See, I got to end the show on that. I didn't cry.
What time you making?
I didn't cry. She cried, but I didn't cry. Guys, look.
This when you thought we was getting somewhere.
You know what I'm saying?
I embraced it.
So, look. Guys, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. We talked about some serious issues, even though Saminthia didn't cry, but it's all good. We gonna look by the end of this shit. We gonna get her to cry, right? But again, guys, I appreciate you guys for tuning back in to the Culture Distinct. Thank you guys for coming on. I appreciate it. You guys took some time out your busy schedule to talk about this serious issue. Guys, look. Don't forget to subscribe and tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. This is your boy DJ KO. I love y'all. Peace out.